Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that right now. Hit that subscribe button right below. Let's go Monday Night Football. God willing. Figure out the carriage dispute, people. Philadelphia Eagles at the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Packers favored by 2.5 here. I would say a couple 6-2 teams, but no. 5-2-1 Packers hosting the 6-2 Eagles. Number 1 seed implications in the NFC. Big one here.
Big one. Yeah, a lot of intriguing elements to this game. I mean, it's tight in the NFC. You've got, do you see Howie apparently was they were in on every big name player that was going to get traded, and Howie was like, yeah, we were shooting our shot, and we didn't get any of them, but they were interested in Micah Parsons. Can you imagine? Number one, Jerry trading Micah Parsons to the Eagles.
Before the season they were calling
Cowboys
about him?
fans would have just exploded.
Would have been crazy.
Number two, imagine Micah Parsons actually landing on this Eagles team and what he could do there. Just craziness. But, I mean, the big thing I think starts with, can Jordan Love have a bounce-back game and not, do the crazy, horrible throws that he had last week?
My question here is, last season, Green Bay was a clear good team, but second-tier team, especially in the NFC, behind the Lions.
Now it's just unclear.
Now it's, I think
they might still be that, but it's just unclear.
Well, last year they won all the games they were supposed to.
Yeah.
And then lost all the games they were supposed to, which included against Philadelphia twice, week 1 and in the playoffs, which included going up against Minnesota, who was just better last year, and against Detroit, who was just better last year. Now Green Bay looks like a high-end, a team that could put together a high-end game and beat any of those teams. But they also lost to the Browns, blowing a 10-point lead in the third quarter, and they just lost to the Panthers at home in just like a windy street fight type of game where the Panthers won it ugly or made it an ugly game and then won it ugly. And so the Packers.
Are you saying they don't have that dog in them?
I'm not saying. You were saying that about what's his face's son.
Who?
New Orleans guy.
Well, yeah, because the X-ray showed that.
The X-ray showed that.
But that's
like your best tweet of all time. When it was underrated.
This is the game. These are the games that they're not winning. Like when they get pulled into an ugly street fight, that's when they wilt.
And on top of that, speaking of street fights, we have the tush push drama. The Packers were the team that said we don't want this.
That's right.
Let's vote on this.
They're the whiners. This is all coming together. Who lacks dog more than anybody else? The whiny kid. The Packers are the whiny kid that doesn't have the dog in them, and they want the tush push banned because it's unfair and stuff.
Wow.
That's why they can't win the big one. They're just whiny.
And so
it's all coming together.
I'm curious in this one. Are we going to get, which week was it? The Eagles ran 4 in a row. Oh, it was against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. They ran 4 tush pushes in a row.
Yeah.
All the way into the end zone. And everybody's like, oh, it's a primetime game.
If they hadn't lost that game, that would have been the game that people were like, this is getting banned.
The offense, that got me thinking, is this, when you get into rugby mode, does it take you out of, running good football play mode? Does it change the mentality a little bit too much? The Eagles ran 4 in a row against the Giants, and then they collapsed, right? The story of the Eagles season so far has been, their offense disappearing for halves at a time and not necessarily knowing when it's going to happen. But I'm curious if they do a little troll job if it comes up.
Just every play.
Like their first 2nd and 1. Any point on the field for the Eagles. And they just go push, right? Would you do it on – I still think you just do it on 1st and 10.
That's what I was going to say. Forget the first, 2nd, and 1. They should just start a drive and go, we're going to do 4 times and convert from 1st and 10.
Yeah.
Just because it's the Packers. That would be hilarious.
I'm making a push for I'm telling you, the empty under center quick sneak. Brady used to do this all the time. When teams would go under center empty, which is as uncommon as split back under center backfield in the NFL right now. But you go under center, empty. The defense is going to have a 4-man line. There's going to be a bubble there.
Right.
And you just run forward. And it's like a free 5 yards. You should run that once a game, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Storylines with the tush push.
Yeah. It is a storyline in this game. Number one, because obviously the Eagles do it so much. Everyone is focused on. It's kind of annoying now because every single tush push is replayed in super slow-mo. And it's like, look, that right guard jumped early. How are they missing this? It's like, okay, yes. How are they missing this on super slow-mo? But what does that look like live? And live, it looks perfectly normal. Like live, yeah. Did the right guard move a fraction of a second earlier than the center snapped the ball? Sure. Is that something you could actually pick up during, the full speed run of the play? No, not really. Like there are definitely ways that they're not officiating this correctly. I don't think the way of proving that is to super slow-mo everything and say, well, look, they missed another one.
Man, we got to respond to the news that's just come out. Cowboys defensive end Marshon Neland has passed away, tragically, at 24 years old. Could have waited, I guess, but I don't know. That's just coming through everywhere on social. Don't have any reports on what happened, but Cowboys have made a statement. Defensive end for the Cowboys, Marshon Neland, tragically passed away this morning, 24 years old. Cowboys say, beloved teammate, member of our organization, thoughts and prayers regarding Marshon are with his girlfriend, Catalina, and his family. Sorry to bring that up in the beginning there, but it came up. I figured we'd touch on it at least quickly. So Cowboys are on their bye, and I don't know, more information to come, I believe.
Yeah, obviously horrible news.
I'm not a professional when it comes to the on-air stuff and how you're supposed to handle that, but that's how we did it.
I mean, I don't know that there is a correct way of handling something like that. Obviously horrible news for Cowboys and Marshon and his family.
And then we got to say, now back to the game. Eagles-Packers, we're in the middle of discussing that breakdown. Packers missing Tucker Kraft now too.
Yeah,
out for the season. Probably see more Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, and
how they're gonna work this.
That I think will be interesting. I've seen a couple of Packers kind of beat reporters, bloggers, whatever category you want to throw them into, sort of reminding themselves this week of what it looked like. Because remember, Musgrave was the higher drafted tight end. Like he was expected to be the guy, and then Tucker Kraft kind of emerged when Luke Musgrave got hurt. It wasn't even like immediately, sometimes you get these guys where you draft two of them in the same draft and the lower drafted guy is just better, like obviously to begin with, and they kind of flip in terms of deployment and all those kinds of things. Kraft kind of needed the injury to Musgrave, like he needed the opportunity to show that he was what looks like the better player right now. But all of a sudden you've got these guys going, well, okay, there's an opportunity obviously for Musgrave. And they're sort of reminding themselves that first initial look, the Packers were designing all these things for Musgrave. Like he was the guy where gadget plays are being drawn up, where they were putting him in motion a ton. Like they were moving him around and using him in the formation. So they might still have like a ton of faith in what he can do. Like we might actually see a real breakout from Luke Musgrave with this greater opportunity.
Yeah, it's a fun matchup in this one generally. Like I said, at the very top of this breakdown, the Packers just felt like a tick below the Eagles last year. I don't think the best the Packers bring to the table, the way their defense is playing, I think they're a lot closer this year. For Green Bay, like if you're a Packers fan, you're just wondering, how do you lay an egg? Basically 3 times this year, I would say, where the Packers underachieved. And it's the 2 losses and the tie. Right, you blew a game against the Browns. You gave up 40 against the Cowboys when the defense was really good, and that included just bad turnovers at the wrong time. Just letting the Cowboys score 40, and then last week against Carolina, right, when these games that you should take care of. But I have a lot more faith in Green Bay in bigger games against some of the best teams in the league. And then for Philly, you have that 2 week stretch, that 4-day stretch where they lost 2 games. But other than that, they've been very good. But as we said too, inconsistent with the offense, and had these halves of play where they just couldn't score, show up. So it should be a fascinating game here. I'm curious to see how Jordan Love does bounce back and play with their playmakers. I think overall he's played really well. I think Matt LaFleur is doing a really good job. There's some Packers fans saying, when do you move? I don't know, just too much internet in my life right now. Like, when do you move on from Matt LaFleur? Like, I don't know, never. The dude's doing a great job in Green Bay. What are you talking about?
It is weird. I don't know if that's just the small subset of fans that think that about every coach, right? Like,
I think sure every fan base is upset.
Yeah, like I'm sure there is a subset of coach or of fans that are like, I mean, is Kevin O'Connell really all that? Or, I mean, certainly Mike Tomlin's been dealing with that for a while, and a growing percentage of those in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Matt LaFleur's had that for a while. And it's like that guy could have won Coach of the Year like maybe multiple times already. And like, why? How could you possibly be thinking about, is it time to move on from LaFleur? I mean, the answer to that is quite clearly no. But there are people that ask the question relatively consistently, which doesn't make too much sense to me. The matchup of Micah Parsons against this Philadelphia offensive line will be pretty fascinating. The Eagles have the best tackle tandem in the NFL. They're not just the best generally, but they also get left to it themselves more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles just leave those two guys on an island, say, you guys are good enough to handle your business, go out and do it. And generally they do. Micah Parsons against Lane Johnson will be, blockbuster television. Micah Parsons against Jordan Mailata, you would say Parsons has an advantage there. I think you would get him a couple of times. But then you also have the X factor of Micah Parsons then moves around a lot more.
He's all over the place, yeah.
And you're going to see him against those interior guys. And in particular, if they can get him matched up on the right guard, that you would say is an area that Green Bay can exploit.
Fun matchup. I think it's going to be a good one. Monday Night Football. Packers are favored by 2.5 here. Over under 44.5. From FanDuel, where are you going to go with this one?
I mean, that's just straight disrespect to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go with the Eagles to win, cover, and hopefully troll Green Bay with the push play.
I'm rooting for definitely a 1st and 10 push play.
I want to see a full conversion from 1st and 10, just pushing.
You got to disguise it a little bit though. You got to come out in like a normal.
I don't think you do. I think you just say, look, Jerry told us Micah Parsons is a liability in the run game. We're going to roll up with the push play, and we're just going to pick up 2.5, 4 straight times, and crush you. Stop it.
Oh, man, this feels like I don't know, this line. I'll take Philly. Harry's going to take Philly as well. Are we getting fooled here?
Probably.
Getting fooled too much by Green Bay losing that game the way they did last week?
Yeah, look,
we could see another really quick 7-8 possession game the way Philly does play that slower style. And that was what did Green Bay in last week against Carolina.
Yeah, I do think Green Bay's ceiling, I think they can hang with the best teams this year, which I don't know that they could a year ago. So that part, I think, I don't know that them struggling in these low-scoring street fight games means they're incapable of doing the same thing against a team like Philadelphia. I think they can go toe-to-toe with them. I just don't know that they will.
The last thing I wanted to say about this game, I like some of the charts that Ben Baldwin puts out. And him and maybe Kev Cole both have a similar version of the same thing, or maybe it's pretty much the same thing, like the PFF grade versus EPA charts.
Right.
And I believe Love is lower on PFF grade. I got the QB stats here. Lower on PFF grade, but higher in EPA. And that's like in the LaFleur discussion, that's where the difference is usually the coach. Like we usually attribute that to the coach, the scheme, or the playmaker. So Love right now is 2nd in EPA, 9th in PFF grade, right? Mm-hmm. When I read that tells me the passing offense is efficient, more efficient than say the quarterback is playing. There's also probably some hidden EPA and SCRAC for Love, where I believe he's top 6.
Yep.
But in the LaFleur discussion, if you have a very efficient passing offense and the quarterback has a lower PFF grade, that's either some level of coaching scheme, yak-centric plays, which are often coaching anyway, or you just have incredible playmakers. So that would be my argument for LaFleur. I believe I believe the same thing was the case for the 2 Aaron Rodgers MVP seasons. I don't think Rodgers, in one of the seasons, at least in 21, didn't play nearly as well as his stats, and that's a LaFleur type of deal there. So I think they're doing a good job offensively, but there's definitely some inconsistency last week in the red zone and certain games where they're just not putting it all together.
The last thing to throw in for this game is since Christian Watson's come back, he's been making the explosive plays that he's always been pretty inconsistent at throughout his career. Like, that's what he's there for. But I don't know that his ball skills are necessarily amazing for that type of player. But I think he's made basically every one of those plays that they've thrown in his direction so far since his return. Those are explosive plays. Those are big plays. Those are field-flipping plays. If he can keep that run going, that's a really kind of important thing for Green Bay. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a video.
You heard the man. Subscribe.